Hello there, welcome back to Brighton. We're about to start our third season, and our last season was kind of an interesting one. We ended up second place, but we also won the Europa League. We pretty much performed way better than I expected, and honestly, 5 teams within a point is a little bit insane, particularly when it's for the league title, but it is what it is, and we'll just have to deal with that. If you have enjoyed the series so far, please drop it a like and subscribe if you haven't, as that helps me out a ton. Thank you very much. And with that out of the way, let's get into the game proper. So, the next season is about to start, and the main concern that we're going to have is most likely our defense. We only really have two decent defenders in Dunk and Diamanda, if we are to challenge for more silverware, and of course if we are to challenge for, how should I put this, better results in the league, because last season was a very weird one where Aston was leading halfway through the season, and as I said, 5 teams, 1 point in separation. So we're going to be strengthening our defense in particular. Our midfield and our attack is actually already pretty good. We have Smith Rowe, we have Baldasani that basically can play AMC and also midfielder roles if we need to. We have Barco, who's basically a left wing, but honestly, left back, sorry, but can do things elsewhere too. Bargy, right winger, pretty good. We have Ferguson, who is now really good as a striker. So I feel like in attack, we are pretty well covered. So the main thing that we're going to be strengthening is probably just, as I said, the defense. Now, other concerns that we have is going to be linked to Solly March and also Barco, because Solly March has been very angry with me, and we are going to be selling him this summer, most likely. So we'll have to see if we can get how much money we can get out of him. Now, he has reached a point over the course of this last season where he's been starting to be used less and less. He was used pretty much very often at the start, but I think we've come to a point there where we are going to be cashing in for him. And if he wants to leave, then so be it. We of course also have a bunch of other players that we might want to try and cash in on, but we'll have to see how effective we are at that, and basically handling that situation. Board here has potentially been a bit of a misbuy. We'll have to see if we can loan him out, maybe have him play a little bit, level him up. We'll probably be trying to play Clark a little bit more next year to level him up as well, or give him experience, try and get that proper right back that we're lacking. But generally, so far, most of our talents have actually grown pretty nicely here. Monaghan is going to be one that we're trying to grow. Mitchell, kind of the same, both of them homegrown. And we'll have to try and do our best about that. But as I said here, we'll have to see how we do with selling players, keeping players. Gilmore here is a bit of a puzzle, honestly, if selling or keeping is the best option. He's a really good squad player, but we'll have to see exactly what we do. The focus for this transfer window is going to be, as I said, the defense. Now, other things to keep in mind here is that we have to set up some, we have review to start with, which I believe we had a look at, maybe. But yeah, we have a supporter profile update here. 16% core now, 18% fair weather, which is not surprising after a good season, that we gain more fair weather fans and we lose some of the core. Or rather, we didn't lose core members, we just gained a bunch of fair weather members. It's probably the best way to put it. And you can actually see it here reflected in the social media numbers. But what I'm thinking that we're going to do this season, because of the success we had last year, is beg the board for an upgraded stadium. We can't actually upgrade our current stadium. It has 31,200 seats. And with the amount of season ticket holders and ticket waiting lists here of 44,000, almost 45, I'm thinking it is time that we go to the board and try and get that stadium upgraded, or rather a new one built. So yeah, we'll be looking forward. Our attacking movement numbers differs considerably from the norm. So lots of dribbles, losing possession. Apparently we are an outlier on that one, so I guess that's fine. But yeah, player vision expectation meetings, we're doing pretty well on these things, but I probably need to put in a little bit of work on the set piece strategy, as it's just satisfied. But I think we'll just be happy with the rest here, developing the best youth system in the country. I believe we're basically there already. We can have a look at the board once we've gone through these things. And the season meeting, I think we'll just be, asking for qualifying for the Champions League next year, finish top of the table, things like that, show ourselves off in the league. I did make an offer for Guerrero, but I think we're going to let him go. He's becoming a little bit too expensive, but he would be a brilliant target. Let's be honest. He's also kind of a potato, which you all know I'm fond of. Other transfer window targets here are, as I said, in terms of defense, Coyote here, which is a very good right back. Again, he fills the young and promising aspect that I like to look for. And Buongiorno, who is a decent enough centre back, but although it says he's 4 stars, in reality is 3.5 because we use ball playing defenders. So we'll have to see if we find a better target. I think there are better targets, but for now, we're just going to get these bids in before the transfer window opens properly. I'm thinking that's going to be the play. So we'll keep on scouting. We have a bunch of recruitment focuses. Our staff has actually expanded a little bit more, so we can add some more focuses. But so far, I feel like our scouting coverage is decent enough in the important areas. Probably should have a little bit better coverage here in Africa, to be fair. But we'll deal with that, as I said, as we get more scouts and have more reliability. Should probably check in Iceland there too, just because I am from the Nordics, and I do want to try and raise a good Norwegian national team. Honestly, if I get the chance to become Norwegian national team coach, I might take it just for fun. But yeah, that is going to be the plan for this summer. Basically develop not really develop, strengthen the defense aspect of our team. And that is generally going to be it. And as I said, we are going to be bugging the board a little bit here for that stadium upgrade. We are going to be trying to increase our staff members. I always do that when I can. There was also some mention about youth recruitment, youth facilities, and currently I would assume that we are on the maximum level, so to speak. The only thing we could do is go for affiliate clubs, but generally, yeah, I can't ask for anything that is reliant to the youth team or youth recruitment. So for now, I'll get into this transfer window and we'll see if we can pull off some good deals. So let's see how this goes. All right, I might have moved a little bit too quick here, but compared to the last video, which was kind of a mess, I've decided to try and compress this one probably a little bit too much, but we'll see. But we basically moved through the transfer window here. Coyote, we couldn't get him. A couple of central defenders, we couldn't get them. But we did end up picking up Nathan Patterson here, who is a Scottish right back who can also play left back if in a crisis. And he is fairly skilled at being a wing back in support, which is what we use. So I decided to pick him up, although we probably overpaid at 60 million. I think this is a decent cost because we can probably get most of that back. I'm not going to say all, but probably most of that back in the case that we need to sell him. So that is one of the investments that we have done. Now, Buongiorno, who I did say wasn't a super good, pickup for our team, and he really isn't. Definitely someone we overpaid for at 39 million, but we do need that. We need that extra strength due to the sales, which we will go over in a little bit. But he's also another addition. And we also have an addition on the left back here, Milos Kerkez, who is going to be taking that left back position along with Barke. I'll have to have a look at that. My mind is somewhere else. But as you can see, we have 3 very costly Barco. We have 3 very costly buys here. And we also have another one here, a big one, Hugo Vetlesen, who is potentially a very good midfielder. He's also fairly young. He's Norwegian. My Norwegian bias is shining through. And he's also the cheapest of the bunch. So we did spend a lot of money here. But we also got some genuine upgrades. Now, if we have a look at the transfers themselves, we can have a look at the initial ones. Again, Slaterhouse at Nijpen, Esteval, and Josh Doig are transfers we got sorted last season. Now, because of the fact that we brought in Kerkez, Doig here was kind of access to requirements. And we now have 4 potential left backs. So we're going to be selling 2 of them probably in January if we can. Kind of doubtful if we can pull that off though. So we'll have to see. Now, in terms of players out, Solly March was probably sold a little bit cheap here, but he went for 30 million to Fulham. I'm very happy with that. Echegoyen, we finally got sold. He was supposed to be sold in January last season, basically half a year ago, but we couldn't get the sale done due to an injury. So very good that Wolves are still interested for 11 million. We'll take that. And here we can see the quote-unquote current season. Excuse me. Transfers. These are 3 that I mentioned. Peterson, Patterson, and Buongiorno. And here are our exits. So we have a few players on loan. Linga and Sarmiento, they have optional future fees. Hopefully we can get them sold. We'll have to see. And Gilmore ended up going to Al Hilal. But I thought that was not really fine. I'm not going to say it was fine. I accepted it due to the fact that we could pick up a potential better, or not really not really necessarily better, but a equivalent midfielder for less money. So I accepted mainly due to that. And he should be happy from a financial standpoint. We paid him 35k a week. He's now getting paid 525. So he's probably quite a lot happier. Others, Verbruggen here, again, probably isn't going to be finding himself any, position to play in our team, unfortunately. And we were forced to bring in Buongiorno here because Webster kicked up a fuss. He really wanted to go to Newcastle, and honestly, for a 30-year-old, that isn't the first choice. I didn't want to argue, and he's currently earning 89,000 as a squad player in Newcastle, so I'll accept that. He has a fee. He has a clause that I think it's 15 games. Then we get another 8 million. So fine, happy with it. Adinagra, we finally got him sold, 8 million. Maybe a little bit on the cheap side, but honestly, I'm happy with it. And Francis here became kind of surplus to requirements. One of the Spaniards got sold for 16.5 with a potential of 21. So we've done a lot of transfers, and we also have a couple of future transfers that I've gotten sorted. In this case, it is Fuentes. Fuentes is a rather decent defender, young talent, 17 years old, which means that he can't actually join us. He's going to be joining us on his birthday, basically, next year, in January. And he's already fairly good from the scouts' perspective. Can become 4 stars, 2 stars already, League 1 standard player. So potentially we could start using him as backup, start getting him some training, because again, defensive is where we're lacking, and getting defensive talents in is definitely a plus. Now Galetto is a different one that we brought him. I think I've showed him earlier, but he is a pretty huge winger talent, potentially. So bringing him in for just 4 million is pretty good. But I think we're paying him a fairly high fee, or wage of 30 to 40k. So that might backfire in the future. We'll have to see how we deal with that. But so far, as I said here, transfers have gone fairly well. And I made another offer here for a goalie, which could definitely maximize our defense. He's a very, very good goalie. And not only that, he's very, very cheap. So we've gone ahead and made a bid here. We'll see if we can come to an agreement. And if we do, we might loan out one of our 2 current ones, which would be Simon, most likely. Loan him out, allow him to get some higher level experience, which will probably be good for him. But yeah, if we can pick him up, we would have a full defensive strengthening, which would be really, really good for next season. Now, as you can see, we've already played a game, and while Ferguson was on point and scored 3 goals, we still lost 4-3 to City. This is the Super Cup, and I'll be honest and say that we were lucky to even score 3. It felt like. The XG might be a little bit different, but we got hammered, so I feel we were lucky. I wouldn't really trust the XG here. We tried to hold out, but Holland, everyone here just hammered us until we had to kind of give up, which is unfortunate because we have yet to beat City in the save, and we're also going to have a fairly rough start to the season here. We're going right back to City again, Then we're going to Liverpool, Arsenal, Nottingham, Tottenham, United, you name it. It's going to be a very, very rough season start here. But if we can, say, snatch a win immediately, that would do wonders for us. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do. But yeah, that is it's basically where we're at. I did try and also badger the club for a new stadium. They've been saying no. We're also badgering the club for new staff, and it's going fairly well. That project, we're up to 16 potential coaches. We are lacking a little bit in the goalkeeping here, a little bit in the fitness, but basically training wise, we are getting or coaching wise, we're getting very close to the best in the Premier League. Same here in terms of physiotherapy. We're lacking a little bit in the sports science, but we are aiming to be best in all of these. And 25 scouts is definitely going to help me, but we are going to have to figure out where we want to send all of these scouts. We need to hire some more performance analysts, some more coaches, but I want to have a 200-man staff team by the end of this, and we also have some improvements for the staff for under 18. We can pick up another coach, and I'm still gonna try and expand both the under 21 staff and also the under 18 staff. I feel like it just will benefit us in the long run if we do so, more so than anything else. So yeah, bit of shame there that I clicked a little bit too quickly. I ended up in the Super Cup game before I realized, and as my nose was kind of running, I decided that yeah, I'm not gonna say there is they recorded. So that was unfortunate. I thought we were gonna get hammered even harder than we did, but it's been a good summer. I'm looking forward to this season. The team has had its fair share of upgrades, and I think we have a better chance at snatching that potential. Well, I won't say Premier League win. I feel like we're a little bit too early on that one, and last season was kind of an outlier. That's the only way I really can describe it. With, as I said, 5 teams within a point. But I still want to maybe challenge for a title. We'll have to see how we do, what we prioritize, and we'll be getting into the league itself right away. Alright, so here we are at the end of the transfer window, and we put in some good work here. We brought in Heddle, I think would be. Yeah, Heddle. Who's a decent goalie, but he has been downgraded a little bit. And I'm realizing now that with the latest buy that we have bought here, as you can see, we brought in João Neves, who basically fills in every midfielding position, and he does it really well. Particularly the ball-winning midfielder is now filled in, world-class player. We bought him for 68 million, and that basically completely emptied our transfer budget, but it also rearranged the expectations of our squad. So we might need to do another round of some purging, but Clark, Esteval, Naipan, Gray, there's some interesting things there to see in terms of potential now. And also, as I said here, the goalie might not be as good as we expected, but honestly, we could potentially earn the money back next season. Shouldn't be a deal. Shouldn't be a big deal if you want to go for Restes. Basically, Restes is still going to be the goalie in terms of development. Patterson still decent. Ana Martinez. But yeah, we are going to once again probably end up in a situation where next year the focus is going to be on improving the defenders. And I think I'll have to slow down next year and look for better deals, because now we might have a little bit of a problem here with an overpopulated midfield. But I think we should still be fine. When I could get Neves here for such a cheap deal, I thought we had to jump on it. So we're doing a little bit of a gamble here, but I think it's one that's going to be worth it. In terms of the contract that we're giving him, it's pretty generous, because he wouldn't agree to anything else. This is actually the second time we tried to negotiate. So a little bit on the expensive side, and I probably am going to have to, well, start looking into properly applying. Excuse me. Properly applying a wage structure in the future. The minimum fee release clause is also kind of annoying, but it was either this or a full-time contract that was high enough that he would just not agree to it. So you can imagine that would turn out to be a little bit of a challenge. Now, we haven't done a lot of deadline day deals, and In particular, we have done a few transfers. We sold Encesio for just 8 million last year of the contract. We wanted him out. We sold Munoz for potentially 12.75. So not too shabby, 9.75 to begin with. And we have, of course, the guys we sold earlier. Now, we have a bunch of loan deals that could potentially make some money. And I think we're going to start here with, well, all of them really. Let's start with Linger and just go through these. So we have some optional future fees on anyone that has a contract past this season. So potentially here, if he plays well, we could get 8.5 million there. Sarmiento, same thing here, potentially 35 million. I don't really expect most of these to be fulfilled, but we could potentially see some pretty interesting buys here. And also Benfica is the team that we just snatched João Neves from. So if I'd known they wanted Sarmiento earlier, we might have been able to make a deal there in terms of trading. Carlos Magno here has kind of the same thing running. Nope, he did not have a clause. I misremember that one. But I do know that Baleba has one, 21 million. Nothing major. But as you can imagine, if most of these, I'm pretty sure Bartier doesn't have one. But we're just loaning him out to kind of level him up, quote unquote. But if, all of these small fees, big fees were to get cashed in, and here we have another one that we loaned out to Benfica. And Benfica has money now. That's the funny part. Potentially 40 million here. So we might have close towards a billion. No, not really a billion. 100 million, which would translate to a billion in my local currency. Amount of money for next transfer window. So while the transfers might look really shabby, we will get some players back that we can try and sell again. They'll have, playtime. And generally, that should be good enough that we can make something happen. So while it hasn't been an optimal start of the season, morale is low because, well, we've had a couple of awful games. We've had players who started to complain after these few games themselves. So that is why we loaned a few extra of them out, Torres, for instance. So it is a bit of a weird one. The Champions League phase here. I actually missed who we're playing against. Fenerbahce, Bran, Barca, PSG, Shakhtar, Olympiacos, Porto, and Inter. So that could be a little bit rough, but I think we'll probably do well against everyone that isn't Barca and PSG, and potentially also these two teams. So I think we have decent chances if we can capitalize on most of the games here. We have Barca away and PSG at home, so we'll try and deal with that as we can. But as you can imagine, we don't really have much we can do at this point financially, so we're just going to finish the transfer window. We're going to get through the first half of the season here, and we'll see where we stand come January. Because, as I said, the inclusion here of Neves really kind of shook our team here, and financially it might be a little bit troublesome too, because currently we have a good grand total of 10 million in the bank. So yeah, profit loss this season, 108 million. So you can imagine that we might be in a little bit of trouble, and we'll have to see if I can actually argue for a new stadium while we don't have money. But we'll try our best. Let's see how this goes. We are nearing the end here of the first half of the season. We're in December, and Manchester United has offered me a job interview. I'm probably going to decline this, but first I'm going to have to apologize to all of you because there's been a few things happening during this first half of the season where I've managed to record the wrong screen, so it's been left out, but we'll be going over them in order. So United is offering me a interview. Honestly, I believe they basically have endless financial power to some degree. So it wouldn't be a terrible idea to go ahead and take that move. Apologies, but I think we're just gonna not do that. I'm enjoying my time at Brighton, so we're gonna go ahead and decline that interview. But it's funny that the teams do try and pick up. What I really would like to be able to do there would have been to go ahead and argue with with my board and demand the bigger stadium if they wanted me to stay. But I don't think that's possible. I've argued, I think it's now 3 times with the board. Everything has been just no. Board feel I'm doing an unbelievable job, but in terms of the board requests here, I keep on getting rejected on stadiums. I keep on getting rejected on virtually scouts. I want more. I want 100 if I was allowed. But as I said, we keep on getting rejected. I still haven't done anything with the set pieces, but the results that we've had, kind of, with the exception of the start of the season, has put me in a situation where I haven't really had to worry too much about that. So, in general here, I want to say that the defensive purchases that we made have definitely paid off, as we have barely received goals over the course of these last few games. We have been winning pretty cleanly most cases. Played a couple of draw games, lost a game against Chelsea for the Carabao, drew against PSG, drew against Newcastle, who seems to be a little bit of my nemesis in this game, in all honesty. But it's gone very well. We beat Arsenal, we beat Tottenham, we hammered Everton, we beat Barcelona, surprisingly enough. I'll admit this one was very lucky, but we did beat them at Camp Nou. I hope that's still their stadium name. I could be wrong. And we completely hammered Shakhtar. So it's been a very, very good first half of the season here. Better than I expected after we went into these 3. I was actually kind of second guessing myself if I'd been lucky in the previous 2 seasons, but the strategy is working very well. We are changing it around a little bit as we go. Currently still pretty much the same here. I am running Vetlesen in a personalized role here. That seems to be working pretty well. As another AP. Generally you don't want to use 2, but we do that because I got a clause, a promise for him. But that should be going out now when we enter the January window, so that shouldn't be a big deal. And generally, we have been playing well. Neves has done great here in his, how should I put it, first half season. 7.26 here as his average. Been playing plenty of games. But he also had a very short injury spell, which, again, I can't remember exactly where I find these things, but he was out for about a month. But that's not really a big deal. Now, a lot of our squad here has started to develop a little bit more. We have, where's that boy? I should just go into the actual squad look and sort them by position. So Orestes has actually developed enough now that he has once again overtaken Hedl. So I think Hedl here is going to be probably sold at some point, but at least we'll be making money of him, most likely. Orestes is growing incredibly well, I dare say. And I probably should have done this earlier on, but there is actually a way that we can have a look at the progress. So all-time progress, I assume it's since they came to our club. It's not really a huge amount of progress if you want to look at it that way. But he's gotten a few points here. He's gotten some progress in the other stats here, so they shouldn't be too far from kind of leveling up. Point in aerial, point in one-on-ones, point on throwing, vision, work rate, positioning, leadership. Could potentially end up with a captain goalie here as he gets older. Composure, anticipation, and particularly his physical stats, agility, his balance, stamina, strength. Both of these have gone up as well. So this is probably the best tool that I can have to have a look at our talents, basically. So Clark, unfortunately, I think I checked him for not too long ago. He's barely had any progress, but he's young. That's probably also has an effect on it, but dribbling has gone up. He's already 11 crossing, and getting dribbling up on backs is good. I saw a post on the Reddit there. Basically, most backs have below, like, less than 5% or something like that in someone else's save, had above 12 and 12 in these 2 stats. So he could be very, very good. But he too has done great work on his physicals, decent work on his mentals, lacking a little bit on its technicals. But that is kind of what you expect from younger players here. Now, because of the fact that our team has developed and the what is a good, decent, or star player has kind of changed, we're probably going to have another upheaval in the squad where we are going to be changing out some of the players that, well, has some status that doesn't really reflect them anymore, like João Pedro, Alderete. Both of them are very, very angry because both of them are regular starters now with how their contracts are assigned. That's my fault. So we have already sold Alderete here. He'll be joining Al Sadd for 22 million in January, which is honestly fine by me, because by that time we'll have that new talent coming in, and we'll just slip him into the formation. The Amanda here, I kind of forgot about the fact, but he has been on international duty now for a couple of months with the Ivory Coast, which has led us without an extra defender, which has been fine. We haven't really had much injury, so to speak. But Patterson here, definitely someone that we overpaid for with how he has ended up. He has not developed as much as we'd hoped. Let's put it like that. So it's a little bit disappointing, but it's hard to know what is a good player or not with just scouts reports. But probably overpaid a bit, but that's fine. Josh Joy is another player that we are going to be trying to kind of let go, but he is actually developing kind of nicely. I don't think he's actually leveled up in anything, but you can see that from the just progression there, that he's getting some smaller upgrades, let's put it like that. Now Monaghan is becoming better and better. He's been given more playtime this season, and particularly his work rate here. And a bunch of his skill had a huge jump from October to November when he played, I think it was 3 out of 4 games. We had Ferguson with a small injury. So he could definitely become very, very good very, very quick. Already gotten some points in crossing, free kick taking, heading, long shots. Not really the stats that we want to see leveling up. Marking is also another one that we don't really would like to see, but he's at least developing dribbling, finishing, and first touches here as well. And he's gotten 3 points of composure, 2 points of off the ball. His work rate has gone up, and he too has had massive growth in his physicals, namely his stamina and his pace over these last couple of years. Well, it's not even a couple of years yet. During this year and 9 months. So, well, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah, 9 months. So he definitely has potential here, and he could become very, very good. You're all very correct about that. And as you can see, his performance isn't actually bad either. We've used him from starting for 4 Champions League games, 7 Premier League games. He scored 5 goals there, 2 goals in the Champions League. He played the 7-0 game against Shakhtar as a left wing and got a 3 assists. So yeah, I'd say he's doing well for sure. Other players here, Mitchell, not really growing, hasn't been given too many opportunities, as you can see here. Mostly playing in the under-17 league, probably should have left him down there, but he's about to turn 18, so I'm going to try and use him a little bit more because he's racing the team, and we'll see how that works out for us. Baldasani and Smith Rowe, both still doing decently, nothing to complain about there. Now, Estebao is also fairly new here, coming from the summer, but he too has been giving a little bit of playtime from start and as a substitute, and he's been doing nicely so far. Now, we currently have a 42 million bid from Leeds on João Pedro because he expects to be a regular starter, but the reality of the situation is that he's at best a squad player. And rather than taking that hit from demoting him, we are gonna just try and cash out on him because we have Gallardo coming in, we have other talents in the team here, we have Estevao, we have Mitchell, We have Nipon. We have a bunch of players that can play midfield, well, midfield, wing duty, and he's kind of become surplus to requirements. He's a very nice squad player, don't get me wrong, but he has limited potential, for one, and we can cash in for a decent chunk of money if he accepts that contract. And I'm honestly happy with doing that, so that is exactly what we shall do. And again, Doigier, we will be looking to sell because we kind of picked him up as thought he was going to be better, thought his potential was going to be a little bit higher, which unfortunately wasn't. So he and that other player ended up as kind of a misbuy, and that's my fault. But at least we can potentially make some money of it, and that's the big deal here. Now, Gray has also developed fairly nicely here. He too came in transfer window of 24, so he's been here a year and a half. And as you can see, he's already gotten a lot of mental points. Some technical points, corners, long shots, marking, passing, and penalty taking, as well as technique, some physicals. So development of most of these talents is actually going really, really well. But as I said, our team is probably going to keep on flipping a lot of players. We have currently a very good atmosphere in the squad, I believe. Club atmosphere is very good. Board is happy with what I'm doing here. We have 5 players at the club who are unhappy. Most of them are contract related, but as you can see, it doesn't really hurt the club atmosphere much. Support is going down a little bit, but again, that is fine. The fans just don't like me very much, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm kind of... Oh, they're actually A-. Well, that's good. So yeah, we're doing fine, except for that loss against Chelsea. Please don't steal my coach here. But yeah, we have some things that we need to consider with how we're going to be doing things going forward. But as I said, we've already sold Alderete. If that 42 million bid goes through, we're going to be selling Pedro, and that'll give us the financials if we want to pick up any talents over the next transfer window, which I kind of doubt. And the main reason for that is that we haven't found anyone new, really, to put in our list here. We have Endrick, who went to Inter. He's kind of out of our league with that. We have Krupi, who would be good, but at the same time, he's getting a little bit older. And we already have talents in the position. So again, not really worth it. And this is another one that I'm considering signing, Francisco Trincao, who could potentially be signed in the event that someone else gets sold. But again, it's an older report, so I think I'm going to get that refreshed. And that should be fine. Now, there's been some requests of adding face packs. I understand for immersion's sakes, it would be nice to have. I'm just a little bit too lazy to add that. It's not a big problem for me. I tried to install a name pack. Apparently didn't go to plan, so I'm going to have another look at that. But that might be coming in the very near future. But for now, we are going to go ahead and speed through the second half of the season. And I'll be trying something new next season in terms of kind of summaries where I add some of the moment from matches. Basically, nice goals, nice plays, and things like that. And that should kind of spice up these videos a little bit. As I said, I'll be experimenting with the style of these as we're going. I think this is decent enough in terms of information packed into each part, but at the same time can be quite monotone, can get quite boring. So adding a little bit of match footage here and there could definitely spice it up. Basically, go back to update month by month with goals and how things have gone. And I think that might be a better way of doing things come next half of the season. For now, though, we're going to finish off December, which is going to be a little bit rough because we're lacking a defender. But with the exception of Chelsea here, I think we're going to have a fairly straightforward and simple December, luckily enough. It's going to be harder again once we get into January, as we are facing City, Arsenal, and Liverpool, as well as Cardiff, which isn't really a challenge, let's put it like that. immediately. So let's see how this goes. We are going to speed through the remainder of this month, and then we're going to finish off this episode. So the intake this year is not going to be good at all. We have one potential attacking midfielder to keep an eye on, but with an average intake here, doesn't look too good. Could be maybe one good talent, we'll see. But that is what it is. Our youth is actually, I think we rated the 6th best team, but I think that's based on your talents. So not really representative, but we have pretty good youth recruitment, as you can see. We can't do anything to improve it, unfortunately. So we'll just have to live with things as they are. So that is what it is. We also have some problems with Barco. We've had a lot of players actually arguing for new contracts. He has actual playing time a regular starter though, so I can kind of see where he's coming from. And at this stage, probably getting close to the point where we should argue for, or not really argue, but getting him a new contract. And I just realized that I forgot to check the progress of some of our, biggest talents. And Barco has definitely had some huge gains there, particularly on the mental side, a little bit on the physical side too. Strength training has paid off for sure. And marking, passing, first touches, heading, free kick taking, I say he has developed fairly good here. But yeah, I definitely did forget some of our more interesting guests here. Restes is still speeding along. He's rated as a fringe player still though, so it's kind of a weird scenario with how the assistant manager actually kind of rates our players at the moment, I dare argue. But yeah, hasn't really grown super much since we got him, as I mentioned earlier, but he's playing well. I can't really complain about that. 7.4 in the league. Only 7 starts though, so yeah, we'll have to see what we do, because Highlight's also just recently, well, it's gone now, but he did have a interest from the Saudis. So we'll have to see when transfer window opens if that interest is still there. And if it is, then we might be able to cash out on him, because Restes would probably be a better choice anyways in my book. Let's see, there was someone else I wanted to have a quick look at, and it's not Clark, it's not aswell, it was Ferguson, because he's been doing fairly well. And if we take a look at how he has developed since we started the save, decent gains in mental, a little bit on the physical side, agility, balance, jumping, reach, and also in finishing here, dribbling, first touch, crossing not really super needed, marking not really super needed, but he's had a decent gain here in most stats that kind of matter, and particularly here in stamina or first touch, as you can see. So it actually started down at 13. It's up to 14. What is that orange? I guess I should cut down on these to just see the ones that have had an effect maybe, but E2 has grown fairly nicely, I dare say. Might be that I'm reading that chart wrong too, don't get me wrong. But it is what it is. But yeah, we'll have to see what we do with everyone from Martinez and up here in terms of their positions in the team. Buongiorno has decent stats here, but is kind of carried by his Champions League performances, which has been mostly against worse teams. So probably our worst shopping incident so far, I dare argue. We'll have to see exactly, again, once the transfer window comes, how we deal with this situation, because I've probably been, and I'll say this again, it's been a while since I played. I don't remember what stats are good, so I've been trusting the scouts ratings quite a bit, and I've been using 2020 scouts. We have a couple of those to get these ratings, and usually 2 or more full scout phases with a couple of games if I can. So I've been maybe trusting them just a little bit too much here. But yeah, if you want to see what I mean by, we've had some pretty big wins in the Champions League phase. 5-0, 7-0, 7-1. So good performance in the Champions League when we have 5 games won. And again, here you can see them here. Fenerbahce, Barcelona, Again, Barcelona is an outlier, but those other 4 wins are all pretty good. Draw here too is kind of an outlier, but even so, we did well. And you can kind of see it here with how our goal scoring form is versus other teams here. We've scored 12 goals more than City, but I assume City has had maybe some harder fights. Let's put it like that. And we're currently top of the table here, and I think we'll just go directly through. In my honest opinion, we've also done fairly good here in the league, although we're looking at another situation where teams are sharing points. But as I said, if we can survive January, we might be able to challenge for the title this year. If we beat City at home, I think that's going to be the key. But so far, it's looking like another very, very close affair. But yeah, I think that was everything I want to say here. Just want to drop in very, very quickly. And we'll do the last couple of games this season, or this half of the season. So here we are at the end of the first half of this season, and it's going very well. We played 1 game less than City. We have 1 point less, so potentially here, if we win against Liverpool, we could end up taking the top of the league table. So again, very good season so far. The only thing we really messed up is the Carabao Cup, which we lost against Chelsea. And Vettel's in here, this promise didn't really make sense to me because I've only been playing him as an advanced playmaker role, and he got upset. He meant the goal hadn't been fulfilled. He's played 17 games from start to as a substitute, and as I said, I played in that personalized role. So a little bit surprising to me. Also, if you consider the fact that he was out for a month, so he hasn't really been available for the entire season, but he was really, really upset. Now, Restus here has gotten himself a pretty good new contract, and that is because I do value him a little bit higher than Heidel. He's younger, and we've given him a contract here with an optional contract extension, so he will be here until 31. I should have been a little bit more clever, though, and had it start at the end of the season, so we could have gotten that optional extension for 32. But he got a pretty hefty high current price, but I think price in wages. But I think that's going to get cancelled out by Heidel. Heidel, I don't know why I call him Heidel. Hedel. Hedel is wanted by 3, Saudi Arabian clubs. I believe that is where they are situated, and it is. So most likely we're going to be selling him for somewhere between 20 to 30 million this transfer window. We still have the transfer going for Pedro. He refused Leeds, but he's currently in a contract offer with West Ham. So they were willing to pay 42 as well. I tried to ask for 45, basically send out the 45 to the clubs. They sent me returns with, we're only agreeing to 34, went back down to 42, and then suddenly West Ham was agreeable again. So 42 is probably the most that we'd be able to get for him, which honestly I feel is a decent deal. He's a really good player for, most teams, let's be honest here. And he's also kind of English raced here, as he's played 4 seasons for Watford before he came to us. So he's been here for 7 years. He is English raced, so it's kind of probably bad to let him go. But the only real reason why he's been playing games here, with the exception of some of his substitutions, have been because he's been requesting it. I've had more use of playing the talented players here that might be raised into something better. So selling him isn't really a negative. And you can see the same with Adel. He became a little bit worse than anticipated. He is better than Restus at a couple of points, namely distribution, things like that. But since we play out of defense, it doesn't matter too much for our style. So we're just gonna stick to Restus. Maybe Simon, we'll see. But Restus has been promoted to kind of full-time goalkeeper now. I couldn't deal with his contract concerns, that's why I got a new one. But yeah, I think this is a good new first half of the season. We're probably going to have to do another kind of transfer window where we're looking to improve our defense. I still think Yao Neves was a incredibly good buy, and he's still improving slightly. So definitely good to have picked this guy up. He's still doing well, and again, he fills into that not only the Masala role, if we want to use that, but the ball-winning defensive role as well. So he is kind of perfect for what we needed. So he's a really, really good option here. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. I did say that I was going to try and make a little bit of a shorter episode here. I failed, as you can see. But I'll be changing up the format a little bit on the next one, which should make it a little bit more interesting. Should also make it more condensed, more have it make more sense, if you will. But this is just how this one ended up. There was some fumbles during the transfer window, as can happen. But hopefully I can do better on the next one. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed. Bye bye.